kind of a tragic, but in my opinion, almost romantic type of video for me. It's a love-hate relationship. I hate that certain games eventually die. I hate when multiplayer games have no population. I try to jump in and I literally can't find a game. But it's a love thing because I love free-to-play games and I love every game on this list, at least for some certain reasons. I did review all of these games, and I used to work for Free MMO Station, Free PC Gamers, and a number of different sites where I specifically played these games. And last year I did a list which has totally different games, and you know that did a lot of views. That did a lot of good. I think a lot of people had fun trying out some of those games. You know, you got to jump in with a group of people, but it's possible to still have fun with these games at the moment if you do jump in with a group. But otherwise, yeah, objectively, these games have faults, they faltered, they have holes in them, and any average person, no, you just will have zero gameplay. So for that, we have to make this list. But maybe we can kind of have it like a celebration in a way. Celebration of what used to be there, what could have been. So here we go, guys. Best new free games no one plays. So, the first game on the list was extremely close to my heart. I actually did multiple videos on this, and it's called Snow, and it was always going to be a niche title, especially competing with Ubisoft's AAA kind of variant of this, but Snow was essentially a snow sport MMO-ish. It was kind of in that vein. Now, it never got to truly massive numbers with its server count, and I don't even think it even has fully yet put in actual true multiplayer implementations. Now, the idea was that you were supposed to be able to make like your own snow parks together with people, like dynamically in real time. You know, I mean, you can actually make lines with each other, you can compete with each other. For the most part, mostly everyone just kind of played it like a physics sandbox. It was goofy, glitchy, and silly, but I still had fun with it. And in the end, like it even had like VR implementation. I played in first person, so I did appreciate it. Very few select people did appreciate this kind of game. It was never going to be popular, but it actually kind of snubbed its own population. It changed around some monetization. It was supposed to be free to play from the get-go, and it was supposed to be kind of sponsored. You're supposed to buy, you know, all the different gear that has like, you know, the different name brands and things like that. And that was going to cost some money, and I was fine with that. And I actually did put money into this game, $20, but like, you know, mountain passes and stuff like that. Nah, dude, the game's supposed to be free roam. You're supposed to be able to jump in, jump out. That's the beauty of games like this, even if they are super niche. And, you know, you're gonna snub people like that. So yeah, it faltered here and there. It didn't really advertise. And in the end, this beautiful game, which, you know, wasn't perfect, but this very specific game completely lost its specific audience. And so now it's basically dead. Now you can't jump in and have something. You can't have an experience. I just hope that eventually they make it a real worthwhile experience for everyone eventually. You know, it's the dream. It's not, you know, games can always come back, right? I don't know, but it would be higher on the list. It was actually my number one until I realized I changed the monetization. So yeah, free to play games. Imagine that. How you pay for a game can actually ruin how you actually play the game. Number 9, we have Midair. So Midair is brand spanking new, so it does have some players, but here's my brutally honest opinion on Midair. I like it. I liked its concept. I even actually asked if I could do like trailer footage for this game, if I could actually get in and review it and promote it early. But they wouldn't let me, and I'm definitely starting to see why. Because even like years later after the fact, wow, it feels like super early access. And this is a clone game. Don't get me wrong. This is 100% a clone of the Tribes formula, and I just don't see why we have that when Tribes Ascend in its closing state is actually fine enough. And it's pretty decent, actually, but nobody still plays Tribes. Nobody plays Tribes, not many people, like as a whole, the different Tribes games doesn't have much of a population. And for Midair to really have succeeded, it needed to do more. It needed to be more unique, which is what Tribes Ascend was originally. It just had, you know, of course, monetization issues. Midair also has monetization issues, in my opinion. You know, I'm not going to go into too much detail here or there. Just know it just isn't the Tribes game that people were looking for. It's still kind of, it is a Tribes game, which, of course, if you like that kind of game, you're going to try it, you're going to play it, but to continue to play it, to continue to love it and support it, man, the developers, you really got to pick up the pace here, because I don't know what you've been doing for the past year. If you can just, you know, change all of our minds, that'd be fantastic, which is why you're lower on the list here. But yeah, I can definitely see why nobody's really taking attention to this game, which is in such a unique and special genre, at least to me. All right, next. Tiger Knight Empire War. Now, immediately, I will say, if you want to play a game like this, because it's actually freaking cool, there is one coming up called Conqueror's Blade, which seems like an overall improvement. I just have to admit that there. But for now, you can play this game, and I think you could have some cool times. The problem, though, is that if not many people are playing this game, it's going to be hard finding a match. It's going to be hard to find good matches, because it is a big team battle game. So here's the unique gimmick of this game, is that it is, you do have a melee combat, kind of For Honor-ish combat mechanic. You do have one general, you do control this general, but you also at the same time are controlling sort of, not legion exactly, but you have a little squad, okay, of like, you have a little army, mini army that you control, and you can tell them to do some cool stuff. I remember one match, I did this epic like flanking maneuver. I sent my entire army to flank the enemy base, but the general wasn't there. I'm the general, so I'm the strongest unit, and I actually went and took a base all by myself. So you can actually do some really cool strategic and tactical shits, man, with a little mix and matching with different kind of units, different kind of weapons that you can use as a general, and there's siege machines and things like that, and the maps are all very fun, and it's basically kind of like For Honor mixed with World of Tanks in terms of monetization and gameplay. The big issue, though, is that its monetization is more like World of Tanks. That's something to complain about. The grind. Also, the systems, the netcode, garbage. It's a really cool concept, but in my opinion, I can see why it's already niche, but why people are also leaving it as well, especially with competition such as Conqueror's Blade coming out, which I definitely expect you guys to take a look at after this video. Cool. Right. Let's talk about Orcs Must Die Unchained. Now, the co-op genre is always going to be more niche because you kind of one and done it. You play it and then you're done. You might jump in again to co-op with someone else, but basically that's pretty much it. Co-op games will be kind of a niche-y thing. There's a lot of good ones out there, Alien Swarm, Dungeon Defenders 2. They don't have the highest population. That's just the nature of the games. But Orc Must Die Unchained is one that I think got really snubbed because originally it tried to be a PvP game and then it changed around its formula. And, it's constantly been evolving and changing, listening to its community. Really good, really applaud that. But its initial reception was really poor. And so, once the hype is dead, that's it. But Orcs Must Die Unchained is a really interesting game now. You can jump in with some friends. Just know that this is a action tower defense game that really is meant for people who play Dungeon Defenders, who played the, like games like this, who like tower defense and stuff like that. It's going to be for people who aren't new to the genre because, holy crap, it's hard. Now, there's some cool characters that you can actually utilize. There's some cool traps. I appreciate the gameplay. It's not the most explosive and visceral. It's very cheesy, but if you understand the genre, then you're going to have a good time. So yeah, I do think more people probably should give Orcs Must Die Unchained a chance. Next up, Art of War Red Tides. So this is a game that I really liked initially. Now I heard they made some monetization changes, of course, every time, guys, right? Free-to-play games, please and thank you. Can you just have a fair monetization scheme? But regardless, Art of War Red Tides is something similar to Clash Royale. However, it uses a kind of like 1 or 2 lane system. It's kind of vague. It's really weird. It's sort of a tug of war RTS game. Now it's not an arena RTS. Sure, it's not going to be like StarCraft, but a lot of people think RTSs are just dead. But they're not, actually. There's a lot of really unique, interesting RTS genres being created. They're just not arena RTS, and Art of War Red Tides is one of them. There's a few others, more are clones of Clash Royale, but Art of War Red Tides is one that's more unique. It actually has like a lot of different, very interesting mechanics and units, and it also is a team game instantaneously. Now, I know Clash Royale has that now, but I'm just saying, Art of War Red Tides, you can just see the gameplay. It might not seem like the most action-packed, but it is a very tactical and strategic game. I think you can have fun with the deck building of your units, going in and playing, as a team, as a unit, finding another team and unit. It might seem simple, one lane sort of gameplay, but if you haven't played games like Clash Royale, then I think you owe it to yourself to try out these kind of games because it is a whole new experience and it is legitimate. Alright guys, halfway on our list, we have a game called Spellsworn. This is essentially, or I think what used to be a mod back in like the Warcraft 3 days. It's kind of a MOBA, not really, you can't really call it a MOBA exactly. It's actually a Battle Royale, I think technically. But anyways, so Spellsworn is a mage Battle Royale game where you jump in, it's just a small circle that slowly encroaches lava, and it's a game where you actually build your own kit. So throughout the different rounds, you actually get a currency as you perform, and you can build your own spell bar. So you can have like a freeze ability, and then you can the next round you get a knockback ability, so then you can do the freeze and then knock them back into the lava or something like that, or maybe you just want to go full DPS, get all the magic nukes and just spam them out and kind of play it like a bullet hell, or you can just blink around. You build your kit as you play the game, and it is a battle royale, and I just really appreciate it. It's really quick and clean. You jump in, and a lot of people think of battle royale as like PUBG, and they think of MOBAs as one specific genre and like that too. But I'm just saying, if you like games like Battle Right, but at the same time also if you like games like battle royales, this is basically battle royale in some ways, with that cool unique gimmick that you have seen in some custom games in Dota, where you can actually make your own character. So I like it. I appreciate it. It reminds me of Magical Wizard Wars, which I thought was a fun MOBA, but this has a more unique, more explosive genre to kind of rally on, which is kind of why it's surprising why not many people play it. But it doesn't look that pretty. Wish it had a cleaner art style. Maybe it doesn't appeal to everyone. Maybe people expect different things. But I think if it really sold itself on the genre it technically is, and really promoted what makes it special, I think it would be more popular. So all I can say is give it a shot. Number 4, we have Fractured Space. This game really took me by surprise because I played this game at a time when I hated games like World of Tanks. I was not interested in anything MOBA either. But Fractured Space kind of has, a little bit of both and put in space. It is a very slow-paced, very tactical and strategic game that, yeah, it's going to be basically World of Tanks in space. But, it's it's so weird how, I just want to say this, that the game has been alive for this long because it had such a small population for so long. It's such a weird, very niche game because there's other space combat games that are more dogfighty. Even Dreadnought coming out has some the Dreadnought is slow and tactical, but then you have other things that are a lot more dogfighty. Fractured Space is basically all slow. It's all slow, it's all tactical, it's all strategic. But I guess people who really want that 3D World of Tanks like experience, Fractured Space just does it best. Other games only dip into it, which is kind of a boon actually, because I think more people are interested in, dogfights. But Fractured Space is actually freaking deep and freaking cool. Just not many people play it. You do need like teams to fight against teams. I think this game would do so well with a bigger population. Maybe they should try to make it more explosive. Maybe they should try to promote it more, but it's one of those games that definitely deserves some people. It kind of needs it, which is a tragedy, but yeah, I don't know. All I can ask is put some eyeballs on it, and if they ever do a tournament or something, watch it on Twitch and maybe try it for yourself. Number 3, we have Air Mech Strike. Now, luckily, unlike a lot of games on this list, you don't need a lot of people to play Air Mech Strike. You could actually even just ask, hey, one of your buddies, dude, let's 1v1 Air Mech. Cool. So Air Mech Strike is actually, it's an old game that's kind of being rebranded and re-released. So kind of cheating putting it on the list here, but it is a new game that has been re-released, is being republished, re-promoted. I don't know. It's got a new name, right? And this is the free-to-play multiplayer variant of the game. They actually did just release a buy-to-play campaign, so that's hype as hell. I think some people played that and enjoyed that. But basically, I just want to say that Air Mech has one of the most unique MOBA elements ever. It is an RTS. Again, another unique RTS in the game list here, but it is a MOBA too. And you could say, well, all MOBAs are action RTS. No, seriously. Air Mech, you do control one unit that has abilities that it's actually action target and stuff like that. It's cool. You WASD and you actually aim like almost like a top-down arena shooter. But you also specifically are controlling an army. And you do have these macros. You kind of have macro control over them. You could tell them, hey, go in that direction. Hey, go to this space. But you can also literally pick them up with your flying form and move them around. Oh, by the way, did I mention you're a freaking transformer? So you have a flying form and then you have a mech form. And yeah, you actually have deck building mechanics where you actually choose the different vehicles that you can utilize. And then you spawn them and you choose when and where they spawn and where they go. And yeah, no, it's a proper absolute merger of MOBA mechanics and RTS. And it runs great, fantastically. You don't need many people to play, but at the same time, still kind of a tragedy that not more people play it. I think over its lifetime, it has gained some notoriety. I think people know of it, but I wish they did more vocal tournaments. I wish they did promote the game more because I would straight up watch so many more tournaments. I would actually legitimately watch this game if it was an esport. Okay, guys, number 2 is a game that is the shining example of needing a lot of players in the game to keep it alive, and that's going to be Hyper Universe. I think that this game had some issues with censorship. I actually did a whole video specifically on it. It kind of alienated its player base in some ways. Also, it didn't launch with controller options. It didn't even launch on console. I think it is now going to Xbox, but it really should have just been launched as a cross-platform game from the get-go because it actually almost feels like a fighting game in some ways. All in all, it just feels like it's meant to be played with a controller. I don't know. There was some weird design decisions and some weird stumbles whenever it launched, which just really smacked its player base in the face, and they left, basically. This game was hype. I did a couple videos on it, and then it just wasn't anymore. So Hyper Universe, man, where'd you go? It still exists. Some people still play it. I actually met some people in real life. Wow, what a rarity. That said, yeah, no, Hyper Universe is pretty cool. Have you heard of that game? Really not many people have, and but some people have played the game. Some people do enjoy it, and I think that this is one of those games that, man, if it was just a little bit bigger, it would probably explode once again. If they can do some big tournament, some big update, if they can just somehow re-promote this game one last time, but god dang, dude, when the hype dies, it dies. This was already a niche, weird 2D MOBA thing. I think it has less players than Awesomenauts now, but basically it was anime waifu, Awesomenauts, and it was actually pretty awesome. It was pretty cool. It was pretty hype. But then it wasn't. So what a tragedy. It's a team versus team game. I don't think it was promoted very well. It could have been, and it still can be, but I think it's one of the cooler games that, yeah, no one plays. And now on to our number 1, but I have to tell you that number 1 actually switched as I was literally editing this video. I actually had Faria here, and I did the voice a little bit ago, but turns out Faria just went by to play. So to keep this list as accurate as possible, Faria's been kicked out. But I will just say that Faria is the most original and weird and strange tactical card game that I've ever played and had the pleasure to actually do videos on. So sayonara, Faria. Now that you're not free to play, not going to play you anymore, but nobody really did anyways. You should have been number 1, but no, yeah, can't even talk about you. We're going to talk about now your competitor Duelist, which is the Atlas of the tactical card game genre. This is actually one of the more popular, but like all the others have like literally 0 players, and I honestly don't really consider them that great. However, Duelist is like the one that, you can still legitimately play. Like, it just, for the quality, for the amount of content that it has, and for its uniquity, for its specialness, dude, like nobody plays it. It's a very legitimate game, which it's in a genre of totally illegitimate games. But basically, Duelist should be not too disfamiliar for if you played Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone. It just has a tactical board. Now the board doesn't change like in Faria. It's not too ridiculous. But no, with the different classes and the different deck builds, it can get kind of fun. It can get kind of fun. I definitely appreciate it. My favorite is Abyssian, which really focuses on hordes of enemies and corralling enemies around it and blocking off different sectors or sacrificing your own minions and doing some weird territory stuff. I really appreciate that in a tactical game, a class that does a lot of tactical stuff. But of course, you can have your roguish type of decks. You have your green type of decks, your warrior, paladin type of decks. Sure. You do have classes, so not too dissimilar. It really reminds me of Hearthstone if it had a board to play around. I also really appreciate the pixel art, and one thing that I have to applaud is that it has challenges. So there are like these PvE sort of riddle, puzzle-y type of things that you can run through. Want more games to do that, especially card games. They're great strategy games. Give us some puzzles with those strategies. Yeah, I really like Duelist. I think more people should play, but once again, Faria should have been on here, but it literally failed so bad that they had to switch to buy to play. And honestly, a lot of games on this list are probably gonna get canceled or go buy to play or something sooner than later. Okay, friends, so that's going to be the end of my list. I know I went a little bit long-winded with some of the numbers here, but I did play all these games, and they do hold a special place in my heart. Some more than others, sure, but in the end, it is, I think, very sad that some of these games don't have players, and some of them deserve it, true, but in the end, when I played these games, when I was participating in them, there was a whole community. There was people playing with me, and I genuinely had something that I won't forget. And so this video, I guess, is kind of a tombstone here of those moments, of that experience. It is a reminder, hopefully, to people that, even if you're scared to play a game or you think you're not gonna have fun with it, sometimes it's the event itself. Sometimes it's the community that's all playing together that can really show you what makes a game really fun. I mean, these online free games, they are community-based, they are community-oriented, and jumping in together just really makes a blast. So I'm gonna do more upcoming hype videos, absolutely, but sometimes we gotta look back and maybe give games a second chance, or sometimes just lament of their passing. Thanks for watching, guys. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. In the end, I do hope that maybe you try one of these games and maybe you do have fun, or if you did back in the day, let us know how much fun you did have back